Hello Year 11, right, half term. You've got to use the opportunity ahead of you now to really get everything together and be ready for the next half term when things in technology will come to a bit of a crescendo. Just want to remind you how important that both elements of your course are. Half of your grade will be calculated on your performance in the written exam, and you've got opportunity to practice your skills and improve your grade from your mocks in the upcoming PPE on the 1st of March. But alongside that is your NEA. Some of you are romping on brilliantly with that, but some of you still haven't acted upon advice given before Christmas, at Christmas and since Christmas. This is your last opportunity with the NEA to use a really good portion of catch-up time. Each of you have a checklist on the first page of your shared coursework document that shows how well you have performed up to date in terms of getting work done. Not about the grading, but just about whether pieces of work have been done. So the list of 13 items that I have put on the first slide of your presentations are the list of things that should have been in your folder, quite frankly, up by Christmas. Most of you have been modelling since then, so there hasn't been opportunity for a lot of coursework time. This work has to be done by your own efforts. If something is highlighted in green, well done. It means it's done. It's done to a level that will get you at least your target grade, and you can put that in the bank. You know it's done. If it's highlighted in orange, it means there's some improvement to do, and that improvement is not about me being fussy. That improvement is about you doing enough to at least get your target grade. So any piece of work that is highlighted in orange is quite frankly not going to get your target grade yet. So look in the comments section on the side. What is it you need to do to improve? If you have got pieces of work that need improving, I have saved the slide that gives you the information on how to do that work next to the slide where the work should be. So all of the resources are on your electronic documents. It's better if you can do that work on a computer because it's easier to navigate around, but there are students who are able to do that work on their phones. So there are, as far as I'm concerned, no excuses. If you are not doing that work now, that is entirely down to your effort or lack of effort. And I have to start talking a bit more firmly now because some of you just do not seem to be getting the importance of what we're asking you to do. If there are pieces of work highlighted in red, it means they are either not there or barely started and definitely not at the correct standard. My advice would be to go through, find your list of green pieces of work, breathe a sigh of relief, pat yourself on the back, well done. Then go to the orange pieces of work because they're going to be the ones to finish off the most quickly. They're the ones there where you have direct feedback from me about how to make improvements. If you don't understand that feedback, email me. I'm not going to be sat on my laptop every day over half term, but I will check in and out, and if you need help, I am more than happy to give it. Then move on to the red ones, so the ones where it's either not there or barely started. If you start off in that order, if you go in that order, green to orange to red, you will see yourself making progress, and more importantly, so will I. So that is your checklist. The order of the pages shouldn't surprise you. We're starting off with the analysis of our context. We did that on paper in June. So if this is still not complete and in your folder, give yourself a little bit of a reality check. You have had 8 months to do it. It's a massively important piece of work because it sets the scene and it gives the examiner the overall impression of what you are like as a student. So if this page looks good and has lots of open-minded thoughts on it, it will put the examiner in a good mood. You have to consider your client. You could be your own client, but disguise yourself as a mystery 15-year-old. You need to write your client profile, which is purely a description of what your client likes, what they do, where they go, so that you can then explain how you can design a suitable product for them. You should all have trend research, and I think most of you do have that. That sets the scene of how you're trying to make your product fashionable. Links to that is your product analysis, where you should be choosing between 4 and 6 products and answering these questions about those products. If you need examples, I can provide them to you, but all the checklists are there, and I've taken away any complicated detail and presentation of my slides, so you've got the simple instructions. Those are the minimum pieces of research that you should have done, and every one of those pieces of research needs to have been introduced and concluded so that you've explained the purpose of that research. Some of you have chosen independently to do extra research, and that is highly commendable, and will help you, but do make sure that you have introduced and concluded each page. Research analysis helps you sum up everything you've found out, and it shows that there is logic to your decision making. It helps me give you marks for evaluation and analysis, and bridges the gap between your research and what you do next. Once the research analysis is there, you can then go ahead and make your design brief and your design specification. This slide shows a writing frame for how you structure your research analysis. You may need to use that writing frame. You may be happy to do the work independently. Whichever way round, it needs to be done. Design brief is a really quick piece of work, but it's absolutely vital. It will pick you up at least 4 marks, which is 4% of the overall GCSE. Every single mark counts. The writing frame for that is in your document if you haven't done it already. Alongside that goes a design specification, which is again a really crucial piece of work, where you lay out exactly what your product is going to be like, and importantly for the higher grades, explain why. In your document you will either have sentence starters to help you structure that, or if you're more literarily capable, then I've just put prompt questions in there. After that, the majority of the written work is done in your folders. You should have a complete page of between 8 to 10 pencil sketches of your initial ideas that should show variety and show that you're not fixated on one idea. You should then have evaluated those ideas. So how good are they? Put some opinions in from people like your customer. Doesn't matter if you fabricate a few of those, as long as you are showing that you've got opinions from a client in there. And you should also check that your designs meet your design criteria, which you've written in your specification. You'll then be able to see which are the best ideas, so that you can go on and develop those into a front and back view, annotate them with a bit more information, and you've all got help sheets in your document to help you annotate and prompt you on what you should be annotating. After that, you should be considering fabrics that you want to use. There's the help sheet for annotating design ideas, and you should evaluate your ideas again to choose the final one that you want to develop. That is an absolute minimum expectation of what should be in your folders by the end of half term. Lots of you are there already, and I hope you are proud and pleased of yourselves for putting in that effort consistently up until this point. If you have done everything already, you can make sure that you've got the photo story of how you've developed your product all together, so that we can just get on to making solidly for after half term. So this is what needs to be in your folders. You are going to cause yourself a lot of stress if you don't use half term wisely to catch up where you need to. So that concludes the NEA and my expectations. The final deadline for your product is the week beginning the 20th of March, and then the final folder will need to be all tidied up and put together by the 29th of March. So you've got 6 weeks to really get that NEA sorted. There can be a little bit of improvement time for the first week after the Easter holidays, but then realistically the marks have to go on the system for the exam board. So, please take this as your reminder that this is really, really important to get done now. That said, we also need to make sure that you're ready for your PPE. So you should have collected in your PPE assembly a pack of revision information. It's similar to the packs that you'll have seen for your Year 10 mocks and also your Year 11 mocks in November. And it's a reminder about the 3 different sections of the exam paper and a list of the topics that you would expect to see in them. Section A is the quick one. That's your multiple choice questions. A lot of the information in section A we have revised for the mock. Obviously you won't have animations to plod through in your printed booklet, but if it helps to have this electronically, you've got it as well. So lots of the information, you'll have seen these revision resources before, you'll have seen the prompt questions before, which if you don't know the answer to these questions, you can use BBC Bitesize and Seneca to help you out. This is all the basic overall design technology knowledge that you need to answer the paper, whether you are a textiles or a product design student. And there's things there, there's images there that you'll have seen before. The thing that's completely new and that I'm training for you for this particular paper is about HDPE plastic, which might sound complicated, might make some of you shut down, go, nope, don't know about plastic, not doing it. It's just common sense about cleaning bottles and what we need cleaning bottles that hold lots of chemicals to be like. So read through that, but then in the exam you can use common sense. And a reminder about some of the mechanisms that we need to talk about in the exam. Section B is where you can be a textile design student, and the resources I've put together for you will help you prepare for answering those questions in a textiles way. Sorry, the previous slide, and I can't click back, but the previous slide shows you the maths that you will need for this paper. It's not such a bad maths paper as it has been previously. So make sure you know your circle theory, triangle theory, and how to work out circumference. Make sure you know about pi, and you'll be all right. BBC bite size, even if you go to Key Stage 3 bite size rather than Key Stage 4, will give you enough information. Then there's a reminder about the types of questions you will see. You will always get a skills question where you have to show in notes and or diagrams, do both. If it says or, do both. You will have to show how to cut materials out or join them back together again. They call it wastage for cutting out and addition for joining together, which isn't how we talk about things in textiles, but we do know how to create wastage by cutting out, and we do know how to join them together by adding them. Practice how to explain how to create wastage and how to join fabrics together using the mark scheme that's on the sheet. We know about how to reinforce and stiffen fabrics. We've done it in previous projects, and you've seen these revision resources before. Try and think about why we need to reinforce them. How does it help? Try and remember some of these technical terms. You have to be able to recall about why and how we make a choice of materials and components. So read through this copy of a revision book. We will come back and look at this in more detail in our PPE sessions immediately after half term. And then there's always the long question at the end of section B about the environment. So there's a question that you can practice about how pollution is caused throughout the life cycle of a product. That is not the same as the longer question you're going to see in the paper, but it's quite similar. The diagram on the screen shows you, reminds you of a life cycle analysis, so where we get our resources from, how we produce them in factories into a product, how we use them, how we transport them, and how we throw them away at the end of their life. So practice answering that question. It's worth 8 marks. So try and make 4 points at least and explain them and justify them. Section C is when we go back to design as a whole. We look at product analysis. Try and remember what analysis is. It's to look at a product, make identifications about them, make observations about those products, and then the evaluation is about whether that's a good or a bad thing. The key word when you do your product analysis question this time is functionality, which is how well a product works. A gap in our knowledge at this point is about deforestation. So there's information there about what happens when forests are cut down, either to use for the wood or to clear space for growing other crops. So that's just a little bit of a heads up type of preparation for that one. Bit of revision about drawing and the idea of exploded drawings. It is just an isometric question this year, so it's this term, so it's easier than the mock paper, but you need to understand an exploded drawing. Practice drawing this doghouse in an exploded form, and there's examples there of what an exploded drawing is. Think about why we would use computer aided design over hand sketching, and there's a prompt question to help you there, and there's also a prompt question about datum points, and there's some other questions there and some answers that will help you prepare yourself. So it needs to be a busy half term. You will start seeing a direct connection between the effort you put in the grade that comes out at the end. In your next report, RP3, I'll be marking your coursework and combining those results with your PPE results to see actually where you're working. And to be honest, in technology, it's all about effort. If you put the effort in, you will be successful. Very cheekily, at the end of all this, I'm going to say have a nice half term. Do try and factor in some rest time as well, and I really mean it. If you need to ask me anything, if you need help with anything, please email. Have a good one. Bye.